Hey everybody, this is Way to Fail here with more scrolls, and today we're going to be observing a game between Akeer and Dialex. You can see here that we're already getting into the mulligan feature because that is some new features that have been added into here. That's right, Mojang is a bunch of bastards and have added all kinds of things in a pretty interesting update that wasn't on the test server for super long, mulliganing was. But here we go, Dialex playing Energy, Akeer playing Decay, and you can see the mulligan just came and went real fast, and we are catching this right at the very beginning, so I am kind of in luck. So kind of standard decks from both players from what I'm seeing so far. The Ilmar Rod Eater probably a little happier to nosh on this hired smuggler. However, Dialex having some great removal, although he's not going to be able to burn right away. But that burn should take care of the Ilmar Rod Eater before it gets to get any bigger, which is always nice when you can do that. Plus it draws a card, so Akeer, what has he got? He could drop another Rod Eater right next to it, and that could be a little bit of a deterrent, but it looks like he's probably going to do Infectious Blight on one of these creatures just to start to get that poison rolling. Or no, Ilmar Hunter. There we go. So trying to protect his unit up front, that works just as well. I don't know what I was thinking with the other one there. But there we go, Ilmar Hunter. That's why they're playing in here, and I am watching this thing burn. So that's gone. This hired smuggler is going to do its thing. And one nice thing about Energy and Growth really compared to Decay is that the Energy has a lot of ways to speed up its units, whether it's Iron Whip or Bombard, which was not nerfed. So, as a result, this Ilmar Hunter can just sit and wait and wait. And right now, it's going to take some damage. He could actually bombard and kill it if he really wanted to. Maybe better to save that bombard for a little later, especially when you can spark and kill this. Now, that doesn't leave a lot of room for other plays, but it does clear the board. So it's on Dialex now to figure out if he wants to kill this, because otherwise it's going to slay something. More of a matter of what he wants to do. I really like the Scout Automaton. I think it is a fantastic unit. The Armor 1, underrated on it because it does really help with survivability against a lot of things, but he does sack for resources. It looks like we're going to see the Spark and the Automata Forge. So, turning this right around right away is Dialex. Just getting this together. So, Akeer, not too many options now. He can Soul Steal, he can Rod Eater, but he is card starved and he's got to get some stuff together here. So, he does have Festering Freak, which is a good cheap card, but maybe not necessarily the card he needs right now. So there is the Infectious Blight taking its turn around. So Rod Eater versus this lineup. Still pretty even, still very early. Dialex can drop the Gravelock Elder to give a superior board presence, because I'd say Dialex took that early exchange. And Akeer getting the Flesh Seamstress, which is an interesting card, but not this early, so you can see he already ditched it. There's a lot to say about it. I really like it personally. It dumps a lot of creatures on the board. The problem is that Decay is a deck that sometimes the Seamstress can come out a little too late, and by the time it comes out, it doesn't have as much of a chance to make an impact on the board, especially with the way Energy can constantly kind of pick and remove creatures one at a time. Now, if Dialex does elect to try and kill this, he can give Akeer cards, which he doesn't necessarily want to do. But he does want to protect his Scout Automaton, so he's just going to tuck it back behind. So 1 damage on the Oblivion Seeker. Let that live as long as he can. Akeer doing very well to get the Damning Curse, which is going to be very nice against the Gravelock Elder. But is he going to play it? He has a Pestis Simulator as well, which is interesting. I've tried to make that card work, but it's just opponents tend to play around it so much. So I don't really know. But right now, Akeer doing nice, dropping the Ilmar Witch Doctor right here. Yes, that guy does die, but unless he moves the Gravelock Elder around, this is going to be a great wall for it. Not because it just gets 2 cards when he dies, but also it turns into a husk. Due to the ability, but Dialex still, with plenty to do on the board, he has a Solemn Giant, which is going to be a fantastic magnet for the Damning Curse that's still in Akeer's hand. But right now, this is where you hear people say that Energy's in a really good spot right now, and this is part of the reason why. Before Energy was really good at removing creatures, but didn't have as much to put on the board. Now, after a few updates with Canonetta, which has been around for a while, Scout Automaton, the Automata Forges, they can remove things and gain a lot of board presence. So Akeer's got to do something to get some control back. He can Miasma Well, Infectious Blight in the future. He doesn't need to make that play yet. But the Damning Curse on the Canonetta, that's interesting. I can see why with the piercing damage that he wouldn't necessarily want to do that. But there's the Miasma Well. And here we go. Just that poison's going to jumps to the Gravelock Elder, which is very fortunate. And this Ilmar Witch Doctor is going to be probably Violent Dispersal. I would, if I had to guess, is probably be Violent Dispersal. There's no reason to let it live and kill the Automata Forge. That husk is less of a threat right now. Of course, with the Infectious Blight going around. And Automata Forges, I love casting Mire Curse on it to go with Miasma Well, but most Decay decks don't run Mire Curse anymore, because once again, it's pretty easy to play around, kind of like the Pestis Simulator. So, the usual play there, Gravelock Elder, everything's going to smack down right now. Akeer's got to do something to protect this Miasma Well. It's going to lose on its value. He could drop the Ilmire Hunter. Pestis Simulator kind of acts as a 1 damage wall. If he puts the other Infectious Blight, it's not going to kill the Gravelock Elder in time, so it looks like he's going to let the Ilmire Hunter take some damage here. So overall, interesting so far. Shearing Shackles is a great choice with the amount of energy that comes in, because it's good direct idle damage if you drop it on a creature. Otherwise, it's a good way to pin units to a certain idol. So there's that damage down, and this guy is going to die. And once again, I do like that they have changed it to where you can see where energy is being paid right there, so that's fun. So there's going to be an extra creature out, and right now, all Akeer really has going for him is his poison at this point, because Dialex has plenty on the board. So drawing resources at this point, looks like he's going to go for maybe a second Infectious Blight and a Pestis Simulator. So there you go, get that Gravelock Elder off the board, put the Pestis Simulator up to once again protect this Miasma Well, and both of those are going to jump to 1 unit, which is probably the better result, because that's going to kill it next turn. But Dialex can try and play around this if he wanted to a little bit, by not drawing creatures without just play back into Decay's can. So we have the Replication here, another ranged unit, and this is what I was saying before, Energy has a lot of really good small drops, and part of the reason for the discussion about nerfing Bombard, or at least making it cost a little more, is not because the card's functionality's changed. Bombard's been the same the whole time since release. It's because Energy has so many more ranged units, so many more things to work with. Range is kind of Energy's things, QQ to order for sure. But, I mean, I'll agree with other people, and I know Ghost Bomb's kind of been an outspoken Energy player about it, but I have to agree with his analysis that nerfing Bombard is kind of a bad idea. I mean, it's just... At that, you can scale back things so much. They did change the power trip and took away the card draw. That's a good change. The card is a little bit too much bang for your buck, since it gave you so many resources to make big plays. But there's the Infectious Blight. Again, that should be Infectious Blight the third, actually. So all 3 are on the board. And this could clear the board a little too quickly, perhaps. But Akeer trying to really gain control. And this unit's not going to be able to be poisoned, but... if Dialex doesn't play anything this turn, that's 3 Infectious Blights gone. I generally don't like having 2 of them, more than 2 on the board. I'd rather have 1 in the hand. So Dialex's best move may be to not do any creatures this turn. What that does mean is that... I don't know where that cough's coming from. So there we go. He's going to let those 3 Infectious Blights die on. Akeer may be overplaying his hand just a little bit. He has a Brain Lice as well. Probably better to start getting things out like the Viscera Sage and the Ripper. Just some small creatures. He does have the board back. Unfortunately, his Spreading Poison is not going to do too much more. So Akeer may be tipping his hand a little too far, or pressing his advantage a little bit too much, but he was really trying to preserve his units, which I can respect that. But now, unfortunately, the Roving Poison is somewhere back in his deck and is not going to be coming back for a while. Meanwhile, Storm Runner, and this has got to be on Bombard with that Storm Runner. It's perfectly placed. That's going to be... oh, Desperation as well? Oh, no. With the Bombard, so that is devastating for Akeer. And this is where you'd love to maybe have that Infectious Blight back. Now, he can Brain Lice and kill the Storm Runner, but that was already 3 cards for... 3 cards, which you may say, okay, that's kind of an even trade, but I mean, look at this, it's no board presence. Akeer just gained footing, and I guess this is where you could say this is a bit of a slugfest. Now, I do want to just talk a little bit briefly about the update while we're kind of in a down point restocking the board phase of this game, and talk a little bit about another thing that's migrated onto the... I was looking at it on the test server and was about to make a video, but they already migrated it to the testing ground, so I'll do it from there. The Wild Resource. It wouldn't come as much into effect in this game because this is mono resource, but it is a nice thing. I like it. Where if you have a multi-resource deck, you can have a colorless resource that can jump kind of to one or the other, such as if you're playing Decay energy, you could pump some Decay, pump some energy, and then the exact same way you pump some Wild, and you can apply that to energy or Decay. The catch being that you can't have like 6 Wild and then 2 Decay and 2 energy. You can only pump it up as high as your lowest resource. But still, it's good to have that flex thing instead of, if you're playing a multicolor deck, you have to sacrifice for extra resources that you won't necessarily use all the time. So it makes multi-resource decks more viable, and I'm looking forward to playing around with it a little bit. But I keep hearing people say the Go Draw is going to make a huge comeback as a result. I'm not even sure if it really left, especially at lower levels. But to get back to the game now that we have more creatures on the board, Akeer here with Mire Curse, and this is where I say Mire Curse, which he is running. This is a pretty good poison deck here. Is really nice on the Automata Forge, but he probably doesn't want it to live, so Languid for more card draw. Whew, okay. So he does have some options here. Soul Stealing is not among them. Damning Curse, this is a poor Damning Curse target. So Brain Lice is probably better. Mire Curse as well, so that is going to kill a lot of things around here. And he's going to get another card draw because Death by Poison does count for that. So the Automata Forge gone again. But Dialex has some cards to come back from here. The Languids are a little bit irritating, but right now Akeer not having a lot of threats. Notice that we're on round 16, and look at all of the damage to these idols right now. We are in for a little bit of a long one, you could say. So there we go. But yeah, Wild, something we'll be looking at a little bit in the future. Mulliganing, very important addition to what's already in the game at this point. But right now, Dialex having some time to think. I'm a little curious to see if they're going to keep the turns at 90 minutes. 90 minutes, excuse me. 90 seconds. I'd love to see him put something on the test server that has kind of like a chess clock, where you have a pool of time that you get to use. But there we go. The good burn on that very annoying Miasma Well. It got a lot of good use. It cleared a lot of creatures. But right now, Mire Curse is making this poor gun automaton the loneliest guy in the neighborhood. However, Dialex does have another Miasma Well. It's not going to get a lot of great use right now. What he could do, now he did Damning Curse there, what he could do is pull this back and put the Rot Eater where this second Oblivion Seeker is, to try and take advantage of the fact that this one could die. I mean, it's possible, but doesn't necessarily mean that's what he wants to do. But yeah, some choices is Akeer. It's interesting because when you have a poison deck, and this is what I've run into with poison decks as well, is that, there we go, so he moves his units up, still has that front wall of Oblivion Seekers, and there you go. What you run into with poison decks is that, yes, you can try and control the board with poison, and it's really good against creature decks like this at slowing things down. The problem, the big problem, is actually punching through and doing damage to idols, and that's where I can see Searing Shackles is pretty good in the deck for that if you let the structures live. Automata Forges can be very dicey things to let live, as we're kind of seeing, we're not seeing the structure energy players that maybe we were used to, as it's more creature aggro, not aggro based, but creature tempo based for energy here. But there's another replication, as we have, as usual, dogs whining. It's like they hear me recording and they're just like, do something with me. Because dogs ran out again in the middle of the night in the blustery wind. It was annoying. Okay. I swear my dogs know quantum physics because they teleport out of the backyard. Anyway, Dialex down with a Gravelock Elder and then multiple cards for Akeer, but at some point you just gotta start taking care of the board threats as they are. Ilmar Rot Eater possibly pumping up a little bit. Akeer gotta be a little concerned about what that could lead to if he's letting that go up. No poison right now with 2 Miasma Wells, that's good. Naru, the Flesh Seamstress, it may be time for her. He can probably keep her alive, except that I believe Dialex does have a Violent Dispersal waiting in his hand, or if not, I'm sure there's not one far behind. But Languid for more card draw, and he could Soul Steal this Gun Automaton, but there's not a great reason to at this point. So no Naru just yet. Akeer really trying to build his board. There's a Soul Steal. So getting multiple things on the board. The really nice thing is that if he does Damning Curse, this is going to pump the Rot Eater up quite a bit because everything dies. But yep, there's the Violent Dispersal for Dialex. And Akeer concedes. It's a little disappointing. The game was still really anybody's game, but well, you know, what can you do? Sometimes it's just removal, and there we go. So let's just leave the match. I guess, yeah, he just said, gotta go, good game. That's a little disappointing. But, hey, you know what? We saw some gameplay, saw some good back and forth between that. But that's what you get with spectating matches sometimes. Sometimes they just end, which is unfortunate. But, you know, if you have any replays or anything you want to send to me, you're welcome to send them my way. I'll be happy to commentate or anything else. Otherwise, this is Way to Fail with Scrolls. There's a lot of new good things happening. But that's it for now. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, leave comments about the match or about anything I've discussed here, and I will see you all next time.